What's going on out there, everybody? Willie Epstein Jr., Ballers Report podcast, right here on the Warzone Sports Network. Man, it's been a while since I talked to you guys. Hope everybody out there is doing all right. We've had a few things to happen in the world of sports since the last time I talked to you. I actually had to take a 3, maybe 4 week sabbatical to try to just get myself together. So I'm back and I am better than ever by my own estimation. We're going to get to the NBA Finals and the legacy that has been cemented, maybe not, by Steph Curry and those Warriors. We're going to talk NBA free agency. We're going to talk some Deshaun Watson. I'm just going to give my overviews about that, talk a little bit about some Major League Baseball, and then we're going to get on about it here. So you already know what we got to do, man. You already know what it is. So let's go get it.
Right about now, you're about to be possessed by the sounds.
2-6 show. Yeah, I know what it is. You little suckers get to talking, grabbing, not walking, strapped to the pong of their jaws and smacking, they sleep with the coffins. And they getting greedy like saying, give me all that.
Yes, sirree, buddy. You already know what it is when you hear that music, man. Once again, the Ballers Report podcast right here on the Warzone Sports Network. It's your boy, Willie Epstein Jr., holding it down, rolling solo, man. Thank you guys out there for checking us out on YouTube Live for the network, as well as the Shakeback Media Group, and on Twitter for the Shakeback Media Group. Make sure you subscribe, smash the bell, get all new content. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well through the Warzone Sports Network, as well as the Shakeback Media Group. So we appreciate you guys, man, rolling with your boy, man. As I stated, I took about a 3.5, 4 week little well, it wasn't a vacation, it was a sabbatical. I just want to let you guys know out there that's watching and ultimately will be listening to this through iTunes, Google Podcasts, as well as Pocket Cast and Google Play, that mental health and its seriousness is real. I'm telling you right now, it is very, very real. It is very, very serious. And you, I, and whoever else I may love out there, we need to understand and also really emphasize the fact that having mental health issues does not make you a bad person. B, it does not make you weak. C, it does not make you not belong. It just simply says that you are one of so many other people like me that have issues that need help sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with needing help. There's nothing weak about asking for help. But I can tell you, there's everything that's not strong about not trying to get it one way, shape, form, or another in a way that is healthy for you. Okay. Golden State Warriors, 4th NBA title in the last 8 years. Are they a dynasty? We'll answer that question here in just a minute. Steph Curry, is he a top 10 great player of all time? Well, you guys have been watching and listening to me long enough to know that I don't really get into the debate of the greatest of all time because I haven't seen all of the players that have always played. However, I like to confine that discussion or those sentiments to the greatest that I've ever seen. Now, for somebody that's been watching basketball for quite a long time, I have seen a lot of players. And to be honest with you, there's not a lot of players that I've seen that's better than Steph Curry. That's just what that is. So the Warriors go into Boston in Game 6. Now, let me also preface this by saying that I did not watch one game of the NBA Finals. But being in this business and having friends in this business and just being in the world of social media and streaming and stuff coming to you all over the place, you're going to get some sort of pulse of what's going on. And my whole idea wasn't to just completely drop off the face of the earth when it comes in terms of sports, but just to not be so engulfed in it to where it was taking the time I needed for myself. So with that being said, I understand that the Warriors won in Game 6 in Boston. I also understand that Jason Tatum, the conversation of him being a superstar, that should come to an end immediately based on his performance in these NBA Finals. From what I have heard and what I have been told and snippets of what I have seen, Jason Tatum did not show up. Jason Tatum was not that guy that you need to be to take your team to the highest level of the sport. which is the championship. Boston obviously had a better team from top to bottom. They had more depth from top to bottom. They actually have more talent than the Golden State Warriors from top to bottom. But the Warriors have this thing called a killer instinct. They also have this thing that's called experience. And they actually have a player in Steph Curry that was out of control, out of his mind, and playing unconscious, but subconsciously, but not, but very much awake all at the same time. And he is your Finals MVP. So let's just start this right here, right now. The Golden State Warriors, they won the championship in what, 2015, 16? No, okay. I'm not going to even try to name the years because, number one, my memory escapes me because it's not that good anymore. But we know that they won 4 championships in 8 seasons. They have been to 5 NBA finals in that same amount of time. So what's this team a dynasty? Well, let's do some comparison shopping, if we will. Think back to the last quote unquote dynasty. Who would that have been? The Miami Heat, maybe? Could you really say that the Miami Heat were a dynasty during that run that LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade went on back in the early 2000s, from 2010 to 2014? Can we say that they're a dynasty? Because they actually lost in NBA finals that they should have won because they had more talent. And they were up 3-1. Or actually, they were up in the fourth game, 2-1 before Dallas came storming back. And then Dirk Nowitzki, at Swish41 on Twitter himself, just decided to say, you know what, y'all, get on my back. I got you. And we're going to carry this thing to the finish line. Think about the team that was around Dirk Nowitzki at that point. Him, Jason Kidd, who else? Tyson Chandler. Who else? I can't think of the point guard's name from Puerto Rico right now because the name escapes me. But he was on that squad. Sean Marion was on that squad, okay? Against a team that featured Shane Battier. I shouldn't say featured Shane Battier, but a team that had Shane Battier on it that featured LeBron James of his prime. Not the LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, but the LeBron James of his prime when he was dominating the sport and winning MVPs and Finals MVPs. Chris Bosh, first ballot Hall of Famer. Dwayne Wade, the third greatest shooting guard I have ever seen play this game. And they had some nice role players with I can't think of the kids. Oh, Mike Miller that played at Florida. They actually had some other players on that squad as well, led by Coach Spo, who is equally one of the best coaches, not only of this generation, but to me that I've ever seen. That's the finals that they lost. Okay. They did beat the Spurs in the finals, and then they lost to the Spurs in another finals in which Kawhi Leonard asserted himself as one of the greats in the world. I remember when LeBron James was on the court and Kawhi went out the game and came back in. LeBron just put his head down. Oh man, he done came back in again. So can we put that Heat team along with this Warriors team? I don't think so. Now, say what you will about Kevin Durant joining a 73-win team from the year before and them going on to win 2 more championships with him being the Finals MVP. Okay, you can only play the people that's in front of you. And even though I disagreed with the move with Kevin Durant made 1,000,000%, I don't think you should go to a team that just beat you the year before. So people are saying, well, what's wrong with LeBron? What LeBron did? LeBron did not lose to the Celtics in 2010 and then join the Celtics that same season. Kevin Durant lost to the Warriors the year before in the playoffs, where they were up, by the way, 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. And in that final game where they could have clinched it and gone on to the NBA Finals to play the Cavaliers that year, he didn't show up. He didn't show up in that game. So say what you will. It is what it is, or it was what it was. But the reason why I say this Warriors team is considered a dynasty is because they have their core players that were still there. That being Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and, of course, Steph Curry. And they have the same coach. Now, Klay Thompson we know was out for 2 years, 2 consecutive years. The first year because of the ACL tear in the finals against the Raptors. I'm sorry, the Achilles tear. No, I'm sorry, the ACL tear was first because he went up for the dunk and he came down awkwardly. And we were like, yo, that didn't look good. And then while he was rehabbing the ACL tear, he tears his Achilles. Out for 2 years. And everybody was saying, wait till Clay comes back. Wait till Clay comes back. And if you remember, the Warriors finished last in the conference just 2 years ago. They didn't even make the bubble. 2 years ago, they were in last place in the entire Western Conference. Last year, Clay was out. They actually end up facing off against the Memphis Grizzlies in the play-in tournament, and the Grizzlies beat them. Okay? And then you fast forward it to this year, and now they're hoisting up the trophy once again. And Klay Thompson, yeah, he may not have been the Klay Thompson that we know and some of y'all love, because I can't stand the Warriors. And y'all know I rep everything Bay Area as far as sports and culture and whatever else. But as far as the Warriors go, no, not a chance. So it wasn't the Klay Thompson that we were used to seeing. But what Steph Curry did, in my opinion, he became the third best point guard I've ever seen. Number one is Magic. Number two is my man Isaiah. Isaiah is my favorite player of all time. Number three, Steph Curry, the third greatest point guard I've ever seen. Say what you will about him being a scoring point guard. Doesn't matter. He has the ball. He is ball dominant. Now, I understand that Draymond Green facilitates the offense most of the time, but Steph Curry is the point guard of that team. Let me tell you the reason why I think he is that. And not only that, I'm not going to say at this current moment that he's one of the top 10 greatest that I've ever seen, because of the conversation of the players that are already there, to include Larry Bird. I know Larry Bird has 3 NBA championships and Steph has 4, but Larry Bird, man, was a different cat. So I can't really take Larry Bird out of that conversation. And I'm not going to even worry about naming those players at this point, because I'm not really prepared to do that. But what I'm saying is this, is that if Steph Curry, if people are not considering Steph Curry to be a top 3 point guard that they've ever seen or to ever have played, I think that's a mistake. And if you have Steph Curry, I wouldn't argue the fact if you have Steph Curry in your top 10 of the greatest that you've ever seen or the all time, I wouldn't argue against that. But if you got him anywhere past number 15, I wholeheartedly disagree with that. And the thing is the reason why I say that is because of this. I understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the game has changed. I understand that the rules are different, but we've seen the shifts in the rules and all those other great things that take place throughout the history of the NBA. In the 80s, you had scoring like you have it now. But in the 90s, you had rock 'em, sock 'em, beat 'em up, beat 'em down, no blood, no foul type of stuff. I get that. But here's the thing that does it for me in terms of Steph Curry. Steph Curry could have played in any of those eras. Now, would he have had the free flow and the not as much resistance on those jump shots when he comes off those screens and off those curls and those pin downs and all that other stuff? Probably not. But what he could have done is he could have flourished in any era. The reason why is because of his shooting ability. He is a better shooter than his dad, Dale Curry, and he was a great shooter. And Dale played in that era. But the difference between Steph and Dale is Steph's ball handling ability. This dude can handle the rock, man, with such ease. I say that Kyrie has the best handle in the NBA today. But to me, from what I've seen in the history of this game, Steph is up there. He's probably within the top 5. Definitely within the top 5. That makes him different. That makes him almost unguardable because of the way that he can manipulate the defender. Okay? And his range. That is what sets him apart. This dude, you got to guard this dude, man, when he hits the half-point line, half-court line. You got to guard him there because he will launch it from 40 feet and won't have any issues about missing it. And he has the green light from his coach. That to me is what sets him apart. Now, I had a conversation with my boy Marshawn Powers. I was trying to get him on the Ballers Report podcast, but he had prior engagement. And we had this conversation on the Shakeback Sports Show that you can hear on the BGC Sports Network, 12s and 6s, 1s and 7s, Saturday and Sunday, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard or Central Standard Time every Saturday and Sunday. We had a conversation about this then. I asked him, I said, dude, do you think that with where Steph is now, he's the greatest shooter that you've ever seen? That dude told me no. How can you tell me no? And then he said, I can't put him up there in front of Kevin Durant. I said, wait a minute, bro. So you mean to tell me that you think that Steph Curry is not a better shooter than Kevin Durant? And he said, no, I don't. He said Steph still has things to prove. So I immediately went to this. Well, Steph has won 2 NBA finals without Kevin Durant. 2 of them. How many finals has Kevin Durant won without Steph Curry? 0. How many NBA finals has Kevin Durant gone to without Steph Curry? 1. That's when they were young back in Oklahoma City, when it was him, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka. Okay? But that was in like their 4th or 5th year in the league. And it took him going to Golden State to join up with Steph Curry to even get to the finals. Now, I'm not saying that, if the things were reversed and that team was with Steph Curry and without Kevin Durant, they couldn't have beat the Cavaliers that year. They probably should have beat them that year. But it is what it is in terms of Draymond Green and him kicking whoever it was in the gonads. That we can't really go back in that. But my point is this, is that not only is Steph Curry, to me, and I'm not a Steph Curry apologist, fan, rooter, supporter, none of that. But to me, he is a top 3-point guard of all time, or I've ever seen. And he is definitely a top 15 player that I've ever seen, or that I've ever seen. He is those two things. And let me tell you something about the Warriors, ladies and gentlemen. For all of us out there that's talking and listening and watching and all that, the Warriors may not be done. They may not be done because, in my opinion, they are going to be stronger next year with those guys that got valuable minutes in the postseason this year. With James Wiseman coming back, who didn't play at all last year, coming back, they're going to be, and with the fully healthy, mentally and physically, Klay Thompson, the Warriors are going to be dope again next year. They're going to be dope again next year. And I know there were people out there saying when the Celtics were up 2-1 or whatever it was, that if the Warriors were to somehow lose this in 5 games, should they blow it up? They should not have blown it up because they were not at full strength. They got one of the best coaches. They've got 2 of the best shooters. They've got the number 1 instigator. Say what you will about them. They've got guys that are hungry with GP2 and Kuminga and Poole and Wiggins. Shout out to Andrew Wiggins, former number 1 overall draft pick. Got traded to Minnesota for Kevin Love by LeBron James. Gets to his first All-Star appearance this past season, and then turns that into a championship. He was very instrumental in the Warriors' success this year, not just in the regular season, but definitely in the postseason. Shout out to him for that. One of Canada's best players. Him and Steve Nash, the 2 best NBA players to ever come out of Canada. So they're going to be even more dope next year, or just as dope next year, if not doper, because of what I just alluded to. Now, does that mean they're going to be the automatic favorites? Nope. Because of free agency for the NBA that's looming around the corner, the fact that the draft is in the books and everybody's now starting to fill out their rosters when free agency does begin. We're going to get a glimpse of how these rookies are going to do with summer camp, the summer league games. But not only that, there's a story out there that John Wall is being bought out by the Houston Rockets. Remember, The Houston Rockets paid John Wall to not play this past year, to not play. So they're going to buy him out, and that makes him an unrestricted free agent. He's already said, yo, I'm going to LA. I'm going to go play with Paul George and Kawhi and Covington and Batum. So, and now they have a formidable, more than formidable team around Kawhi and PG. What that's going to do also, it's going to lessen the load on those guys. So now your quote unquote load management will seem justified. But here's the thing though. Ty Lue should have been the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Period, point blank, sealed, signed, delivered. He should have been head coach of the Lakers. So the Clippers, with these potential additions by subtraction, by addition, they could be right back up there again. Denver is going to be right back up there again. They played the entire year without their second and third best, or their second best player for sure. Their third best player from most of the year in Michael Porter Jr. and, of course, Jamal Murray, point guard. So Nikola Jokic goes on and wins his second straight MVP. They're going to be better. What's going to happen in Los Angeles? The other team in Los Angeles. I say the other team jokingly because I'm a Laker fan. But what's going to happen with the Lakers? Russell Westbrook came out on Tuesday that he's opting in. Surprise, surprise, right? $47 million. You think he's going to opt out after the season he just had? So Westbrook is back. So here's the thing. This whole thing for the Lakers revolves around not LeBron James, but Anthony Davis. Is Anthony Davis is he gonna get his behind in there and get his workout on the way that he needs to do? His work ethic needs to match his talent level, and that has not happened. It has not happened. I have actually, I have actually picked Anthony Davis in the preseason prediction show on several shows to be the MVP of a year or the said year. And he came close the second to last year in New Orleans, but he was the MVP of the second half of the season. So the Lakers, they're the wild card, believe it or not. Phoenix, they got some issues with Ayton. Ayton's a restricted free agent. So what that basically means is that he can be signed to an offer sheet by any other club out there. If Phoenix doesn't match it, then he goes to the other team. I don't think they're going to be dumb enough to let him go. They got a nice team with Chris Paul, who's still playing at a very high level. Devin Booker kind of choked it up a little bit against the Mavs in the second round of the playoffs, but he's a budding superstar. And they've got all kind of pieces off the bench. And they've got one of the best head coaches in the league. So they're going to be better. The Mavs, the Dallas Mavericks, they made it to the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors this past season. They ain't going nowhere. Luka Doncic, man, is a top 5 NBA player right now. And they traded for Christian Wood from the Houston Rockets to bolster their defense and also to add more depth. Now, their challenge is going to be, what are they going to do with Jalen Brunson? Are they going to be able to afford to pay him, or is he going to get out the door to go to New York? So the Mavs are going to still be there. The New Orleans Pelicans, they're going to be better. Brandon Ingram, okay? Zion Williamson, you got to think that he's going to play at some point. He's got to shake that bust label that he's being tagged with by me, for sure. And then they get CJ Collum at the deadline last year, or this past season, rather. He's still there. That's a threesome right there. That is a threesome. Ingram was the most improved player a couple years ago. McCollum is a great guard. And Williamson, he's shown us all of the athletic ability in the world. I hope he's been working on his handles, his defense, and his mid-range game. Because other than that, he ain't going to make it. He's just a high flyer. And he needs to lose weight. The Memphis Grizzlies, Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, all those guys, they ain't going nowhere. They may be young, but they weren't ready this past year, like Keith Sweat was saying. But that experience that they got playing against the Warriors this year, yeah, they ain't going nowhere. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they've got a dynamic duo, Karl Anthony Towns, as well as Ant Edwards. They're not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. The West is still loaded. The Utah Jazz, even though Quinn Snyder resigned as head coach, and we know that that Donovan Mitchell signed his extension based on Quinn being there, they may have some issues. They may not be as strong, but they're going to be a playoff contender. They're going to be one of those 8 to 10 teams that you got to factor into. That's just not going to go away. So to say that the Warriors are going to be even doper this year than they were this past season, that's the reason why I say they're not the automatic favorite to win the Western Conference and go on to the NBA Finals again in 2022-23. All right, Kyrie Irving. Word came out last week that he had a list of 6 teams that he wanted to be traded to. One of them, of course, was the Lakers. Another one was the Clippers. Another one was the Mavs. I can't think of the others at this point in time, but I found out to be historically hilarious, because what type of clout, what kind of juice, Kyrie Irving, do you think you have to command a sign and trade from the Brooklyn Nets to the team of your choice? Yeah, you hit the biggest shot in Cleveland Cavs history, but that was 7 years ago. 7. What have you done since then? You have not played a full season since. This past season, the team that you were responsible for getting together, yourself, James Harden, Kevin Durant. James Harden is in Philly. Kevin Durant was ready to bounce. And you got Ben Simmons, who ain't played in 2 years almost. And when he was playing, ladies and gentlemen, he wasn't even good. How you going to pass up a dunk in a playoff game, in a game 7 at home? He ain't to be trusted. So what makes you think, Kyrie Irving, that anybody was going to give you what you wanted? So what do? You opt in for $36 million. Duh. You wasn't going to leave that on the table. Now, the Nets are like, yo, you got to prove it, homie. You got to prove it to us that you want to play. And you can't just play, 41 games or 50 games or even 60 games. Dude, you need to play at least 68 and a half games in order for me to entertain giving you a max extension. Because otherwise, you can bounce, homie. You can bounce. And we still have Kevin Durant, and we'll bring somebody else around him and Ben Simmons. That's just me. Kyrie Irving, man, to me, he's worn out his welcome in a lot of places in the NBA simply because of his antics. So you have to ask the question. You have to ask yourself the question as a GM or owner or anybody in the front office of an NBA franchise. Is the headache of Kyrie Irving off the court worth the potential that he brings to you on the court? And from what I have seen, a lot of teams are saying, no. Told you about coming around here messing with these people. That's what that is. That is what that is. All right, let's switch over to the NFL real quick. I want to talk about Deshaun Watson because the Cleveland Browns, as we know, gave that dude a $600 trillion contract, all guaranteed. Okay, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but you know what I mean. It's a lot of money. And the sexual misconduct allegations continue to remain. He has maintained his innocence, as the backstory has told us. The Harris County grand jury did not find enough evidence to continue forth with the criminal trial. However, the the civil trial still looms, and he is now settled with 20 of the 24 complainants out of court. Don't know what the number is. Don't care. What I want to know is this. Cleveland, what are you going to do? Because the suspension is coming. What are you going to do? You have told Baker Mayfield that he did not have to come to OTAs. He's guaranteed almost $19 million this year. You don't want him around the facility. You have Jacoby Brissett as your backup. You bring in almost said Michael Crabtree. You bring in Amari Cooper as your receiver to replace, if you can replace him, OBJ. You have Donovan Peoples-Jones on one side. You let go of Austin Hooper, but you sign Njoku to a long-term deal. Your offensive line is still one of the best in the AFC. Your running back duo is probably the best in the AFC, if not of all the league. But who's going to quarterback your team? So what is Baker Mayfield going to do? Because nobody wants to trade for Baker Mayfield. No, for what the asking price is from the Browns. And why would you? Why would you? They can either release him, which I don't think they're going to do. But what they realistically want to do, in my opinion, in terms of the Cleveland Browns, they want to find a trade partner that's going to absorb the lion's share of Baker's guaranteed dollars for 2022. That's their ideal situation. And my thing is this. As we get closer to July, okay, that means we're going to be about 4 weeks away from training camp. If Baker Mayfield is still under contract with the Cleveland Browns by July 15th, and the suspension results have come out for Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield himself said, I wouldn't mind returning to Cleveland, but the Browns are going to have to make the first move. Wow. Is that really going to happen? That's drama for your mama right there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Thank you guys, man, for checking your boy out right here on the Ballers Report podcast, Shake Back Media Group, as well as the Warzone Sports Network, man. Y'all take care of each other. Y'all hug each other. Y'all love each other. And we'll holler at y'all again real soon. Peace. I'm out.